Hello, everybody. Welcome to Phil's Place. I've got my high school buddy who I've known actually since first grade, Mike Merriam, on with me. Uh, Bob Packard, who was on with us last week, couldn't make it. Uh, but the two of us are going to talk about the NFL playoffs and we're going to talk about the CFP. We've got a lot of football to watch this weekend. It actually started last night with the Ducks and the Hoosiers, and we'll get into that after the NFL playoffs. But this is just January is actually a great month for sports. It really is. Um,
Let's
and
not forget the Penguins on a roll.
the Penguins have won 6 in a row, and they're doing all the right things too right now. They're the way that they've been playing. So and they're fun to watch. So okay, NFL playoffs, Mike. We're gonna start actually with the Steelers and Texans because we're from Pittsburgh. I live in Pittsburgh. You're down in Charlotte. But we're Steelers fans, and we're going to talk about this game. What are your thoughts about just how tough the Houston defense is, and how is that going to equate into the matchup on Monday night?
Yeah, so what scares me is their tenacity and aggressiveness. They're very solid on the back end. Obviously, they got good DBs, which allows them to then be that aggressive because you're simply just not beating them deep. You don't have time to get deep. And so if we can't contain their pressure, it's gonna be a long day for Aaron Rodgers and our run game and everything, and it's just we're never gonna get any traction. So, they scare me from that point. Now, that said, there have been moments, where their defense has had cracks, and they haven't been, completely dominant all year. Yes, they're rolling, but, hopefully our offensive coordinator watch some tape on them and see where they're susceptible, but yeah, their defense is phenomenal. I think it's better than Denver's for that aggressiveness. But Denver's B maybe, so they're just as good.
Well, I'll tell you what. You mentioned cracks, and that's where I was going to go. They've won how many games in a row right now?
9.
9 games in a row. That
Is it 9?
streak.
No, that's a Jaguars. I
Oh,
don't
I'm
know.
sorry.
I'm not
That's
sure
that
offhand.
streak has to stop though at some point.
Yeah.
And I have a funny feeling that it's going to stop on Monday night because this is a team. They're relatively young. They might come in maybe a little bit nervous. I don't know. I mean, they're playing in Pittsburgh. It's going to be in the 30s. Kickoff is at 8:15. So there's something to be said about teams in the South who are so used to playing in warm weather. When they get into a colder
And
climate,
a dome.
yeah, they have the luxury of playing in a dome, for goodness sakes. You know, that could play a factor. Okay. Now, what I've been impressed with the Steelers offense is not just the running game, but the play of the offensive line
Yeah.
has gone from here
Yeah.
up to here, and in one season. And you don't really see that very often in the NFL, where an offensive line can improve that much. And these guys, Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell, Warren runs with power and speed. Kenneth Gainwell is very elusive. He's got some speed. So if he's running off tackle and gets that immediate speed factor in, you see him gaining 5, 6, 7 yards in that type of carry. And if they stick to the run game, which I've been preaching about all year on the other podcast I'm on with my buddy John Toth, Sports Bible, okay, by the way. So, and that's Vival, like revival. Um, the Steelers, if they can pass protect, that's going to be the key. Pass protection. If they can give Aaron Rodgers 3 seconds, 4 seconds at the most, but 3 seconds, there'll be short passes, mostly short passes, but he just needs time to go deep with either DK Metcalf, who's going to be coming in pissed off and because of his suspension. And also, if you recall last week, Rodgers threw a dime to Thielen. I mean, that was probably one of the prettiest passes I've seen in a long time. And
Humphreys
it
couldn't even
no, he was
believe it.
covered. He was covered.
Yeah, Humphreys couldn't even believe it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not saying that the Steelers are gonna win. I'm not saying the Texans are gonna win. It's gonna be a very I think it's gonna be a very close game. It's not gonna come down to last week where, you know, the Texans kicker is gonna have to, kick a game-winning field goal. It's not gonna get like that. That last week was crazy. Um, but it's still gonna be a close game.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
honestly have more confidence this week than I did last week.
Well, we said last week when Bob was on with us that we all agreed the Steelers were gonna lose. I said 23-10. I think you said 20 or 23-13. I think didn't
Yeah.
you say 2013?
Yep.
Yep, and then Bob had a very similar prediction.
I
You
just didn't
know, and
think we struggle so much with the run game, even when we know they're running. And you saw the first half; he had 125 yards in the first half, then he had 3 in the second. So it was a combination of the script changed because of the way we were playing. Our offense in the fourth quarter. I mean, come on, Rodgers had his best half of football in that game. I mean,
all
he
season, right?
his mind is just what you. That's the other thing. Like with Stafford too, it's like we might not be the better team. I mean, if you look across the board, Texans have a better line. They have a better receivers. We probably have a better run game. They have a better defense. But, Rodgers is that X factor that gives us a chance because he's just so smart. And he's doing it. He did it with who as receivers, cast offs from other teams. And to be honestly, having DK back, I think the threat of DK is more impactful than the actual DK himself. Like, I don't think he didn't do anything Hall of Fame-ish. He didn't do anything elite-ish. He's averaging like 4 receptions, maybe even 50 yards a game, but his presence draws attention and that he can get you deep on one. That we didn't have that last week. There was no fear of anyone beating you deep last week. I mean, Austin got on the double move and the guy slipped, but the fact that DK's back, I think that changes their defense and they can't roll coverage and all that stuff. And so I think that's going to be big. And like you said, he's going to be pissed because he's going to be pissed at himself and he's going to want to prove that he earned his money, all that going for us. And then I know it's a cliche and everything. Steelers are just good on Monday night. I don't know why.
They
Just
run off
like
on
we
Monday
were
night.
terrible on the road on the West Coast for some reason on Monday night. Maybe it's extra time, the city, like the energy. I don't know what it is, but
Right.
that's definitely to our advantage. We're not going to win the game because we're playing on Monday night. It's just for some reason we put it all together, and that's what
It
it's
just
going
all
to take.
clicks. It just all clicks. Now you mentioned Derrick Henry. The first play of the game, he had a 55-yard run.
Yeah, I was like, here we go.
Same here. I'm like, okay, we're done. And then it was James Pierre who was clipped, by Zay Flowers that brought the ball back. I think it was for the spot of the foul, um, but yeah, I mean that. Thank God that happened, for that penalty
Yeah,
because they would have scored right away.
yeah,
They would have scored immediately, and that could have changed the game right there.
yeah,
Um, okay, so CJ Stroud, I don't know that he is the absolute best quarterback, but he's not the worst either. He was on fire 2 years ago, then last year was a bad year for him. He picked it up a little bit this year, but he's not an elite quarterback. He's not a tier 1 quarterback. So, if the Steelers defense can get to him, if they can pressure him and get 3 or 4 sacks, or maybe get a fumble recovery from a sack, there might be a couple of interceptions. That's the Steelers win games when they take the ball away. And that could be a factor on Monday night too. I almost said tomorrow night, but on Monday night, I think that's going to be a huge factor. Um, and that's why I'm going to say the Steelers are going to win this game. I just, I go back and forth with it, but since we're talking, let's just have me at least predict and say the Steelers are going to win. And it's going to be like a 23-20 type game.
yeah.
You're not going to see 30-28. You're not going to see 7-3 either. I think it's going to be mid-range scoring. Um, and I'm going to go Steelers 23-20.
Yeah, it has to be tight, and we have to make it tight because their defense thrives off turnovers too, and everyone's preaching
Right.
about. But Steelers only have 2 less interceptions than they do, so like it's 2 similar teams. They just have a little. They have a little advantage of us on the skill positions on offense, a little
They
bit,
do. They
and
do.
defense. But again, I Rogers played better all year. Yes, he had some bad games, and bad moments. But if you look at the year as a whole, he played better than Stroud, and Stroud
Yes, of
had
course.
some. He laid some eggs. Now,
Yeah,
again, you want to be playing good at the right time. Um, it, yes, the Steelers lost to the Browns, but won 4 out of 5. Yes, it was against some bad teams, but you did what you're supposed to do. Bad teams, you beat them, easily. The Detroit game was a big win. I didn't see us going into Detroit winning with them having to win. That was pretty impressive. That was a pretty impressive
it
win
was.
for us there.
It was. And then the Lions, they kinda got away from the run game too, and
Yeah,
like you said, Houston doesn't have that much of a run game. Marks is an average running back, you know? I'm gonna go back to the Steelers defense one more time. The key factor is going to be Joey Porter Jr. and making sure and hoping that he doesn't have any PIs. That could hurt them. But, if he's gonna play lockdown without holding on to the receiver the entire route, and I'm a huge fan of James Pierre. Anyone who talks to me about Steelers football know that I love James Pierre.
yeah, great.
And we gotta hope that Duger, plays a better game. He wasn't the best last week. And we obviously have to hope that Jalen Ramsey doesn't get burned and is not pinching in too far in where he's out of position as a free safety. He should be playing more center field, in this matchup against the Texans offense.
I was very disappointed that he didn't break up that pass to Eichel or
I
likely.
know.
He I mean, he didn't play the ball, he didn't play the man, he didn't put a hit on him, he didn't try to break up the ball, he tried to almost I think he tried to intercept it instead of just breaking up the play. It was 4th down, but yeah. I
It was an awkward out of position type, reaction that he had. And like you said, it looked like he did try to knock out the ball, but likely brought that down so fast. That was a great catch by
Oh,
him.
that was great. It was a great throw,
Yeah.
good catch, yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought it
Oh,
was
yeah.
over.
Right. I did too.
Yeah,
So here and that was a 4th and 7.
4th and 7.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all when we had on 4th and 7, that was it because they were gonna he was Lamar was gonna throw it incomplete or we were gonna get a sack TJ was a half a second.
Yes, he
He
was.
held the ball a half a second longer, he's sacked. And I thought, "Okay,
Oh, he strips the
we
ball out
got
of his
this game."
hand.
When he caught
That's
that,
a
I was
strip
like, "Are
sack.
you kidding me?" The defense let us down again. I mean, how many games did we have this year where we just needed the defense to make one last stand and they didn't and we lost. So
Right. Right.
the offense isn't scary, but they get it done at times and they find ways, to make things work. But yeah, they're not going to scare anybody. No one's scared of the Steelers offense,
No,
but
no.
but they put up 26 on
Oh,
the
yeah.
Ravens.
Yeah, they did.
Obviously, when Hamilton went
They put
down,
up 29.
yeah, when
Okay.
Hamilton went
Yeah, he
down,
got
that
hurt.
changed the Ravens defense. But
It
hey,
did.
that's life. We deal with injuries.
Yep.
You mentioned Pierre. You saw the stat that Joey Porter Jr. and Pierre have the best two quarterback rating as a team in the NFL, even
Was
better
it like
than
95 and
Shanahan.
90 or
Yeah,
something like that?
yeah.
Yeah,
That's,
they're excellent corners.
yeah,
Pro Bowl corners, in my opinion. I don't even know who's on the Pro Bowl team. It doesn't matter. They don't play a game anyway.
yeah.
It's just skills, and then they play flag football. You know, but but they're in my opinion they are two Pro Bowl players. Without question. Okay, Mike, give a prediction on the game. I gave mine. What's yours?
I like I said, I feel more confident this week than last week. I don't know if I'm confident enough to say the Steelers are going to win. I still feel like the Texans are going to win, but I
Hmm.
think the Steelers are going to give it a good fight. Just, I don't think the Texans are going to be able to put a lot of touchdowns on us. I think they're going to kick probably 4 field goals and a touchdown. Yeah, I think it's in that 23 that they're going to be 23, 24 range. And the
Hmm.
Steelers, same thing. I don't know that we're going to be able to put multiple touchdowns on, but I'm thinking it's going to be like 23-17
Okay.
Texans or 23-20. I could easily see that. I could easily see this be a 13-10 game too, because the
Yeah.
defenses are capable of being very good, and neither offense is just dynamic. So
The Colts played him pretty tough last week.
Yeah.
That's a game that should have ended 21-20, but ended up ending, what,
Yeah. So
28-20.
I think the Texans will still win. I think the Steelers are capable of winning. I think that they can win. I just if they play like they played in the fourth quarter last week, yes. But if
Mhm.
they play like they do how they start every game, where the first two drives they give up a touchdown and a field goal, and we're sitting in a whole 10-0 again against the Texans, it's going to be a long day. That
They have to score the first quarter. Yeah,
we have to stop them on that first drive.
the Steelers have to score in the first
And the
quarter
so have to score in the first quarter. Yeah. So that's
because
going
they
to
won't
determine the game.
playoffs.
Yeah.
They give up points in the first quarter. They
Yeah.
get blown out by the end of the first quarter. I don't think that's gonna happen on Monday night, though. I think that trend's gonna end. I really do. So, I'm saying 23-20 Pittsburgh. You're saying maybe 23-20 Houston
Yeah.
or 23-17. Okay,
23-17. Yep. I don't
okay.
think there's going to be a lot of touchdowns. I honestly don't.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
well,
then again, there could be some defensive touchdowns, but both defenses are very opportunistic. So it might take a defensive touchdown.
yeah, it very well
But
could. I mean,
the Steelers, if Steelers can hold them, score in the first drive, put some pressure on Stroud, get him throwing when we know he's throwing. But when I talk about it, it's really up to us. We could win this game if we do what we're capable of doing. I don't have that confidence. Not like the '05 team, the '09 team, when we had the three killer bees. Like we went into any game, I thought, oh, we can beat anybody at any time.
right.
I didn't think we were going to win every game, but I was like, oh yeah, we can beat anybody.
Yeah.
Obviously, any
Well,
given Sunday, anybody could beat anybody, but I
oh,
don't have
then
a whole lot of faith in our coaching staff and players to play flawless, and that's what it's probably going to.
it's gonna have to take flawless play, limited penalties on both sides of the ball for the Steelers. We don't need any neutral zone infractions. We don't need any
After
um
whistle penalties.
right. If they eliminate that, procedure penalties, that kind of stuff, stuff that they shouldn't be doing this time of year anyway, then that and I probably could say that for both teams. I didn't look up Houston's penalties and yards and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
but their
I feel
defense
better
was
that, we're throwing the ball to Muth a little bit more. Everyone's like, "Oh, Washington's out." I think Washington in the run game hurts us more than pass because he's a big target. He's not fast. He doesn't run great routes. Most of the stuff when he gets open, it's because he leaked out. Muth is a much better route runner, better
well, yeah,
receiver.
well, they're different bodies, they're
Mhm.
different types of tight ends.
Yeah.
So exactly. All right, let's move on. We This playoff season is just crazy.
Yes.
It's crazy because you can't predict who's going to win any of these games. It can go either way, all six matchups. We already talked about the Steelers and Texans, but the first game this afternoon is the Rams at the Panthers, correct?
Yeah, and it looks like a blowout because the Rams are, 12 and whatever, and the Panthers already beat them this year.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I
like,
watched that game.
Like, you can't just take away the fact that the Panthers already beat them in Carolina. And yes, Stafford had a bad game, but guess what? They made him have a bad game. So it's Panthers have as good as chance as anybody to win. Are they going to win? I don't think so. I can't see Stafford laying an egg because he's Stafford and he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. You usually don't have bad games against a team. So yeah, I'd love to be at the game, but the tickets are absurd.
Right.
And I think the Rams will handle them better this time, but the Panthers don't go away and they fight and they're well coached and they're confident. Even at 8-9, they're confident. And it's funny if you look at their schedule all year: win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss.
Right.
And they lost their last game.
So
It
win
might
today.
actually be a blessing that they lost their last game. So,
What's the forecast in Charlotte?
uh, it, it's rainy. Yeah, it's
Okay.
overcast and rainy. It's like Pittsburgh, overcast and rainy.
Okay. Well, since you live in the Charlotte area, I don't know how much you listen to the Charlotte media, like on television and radio, or in print or whatever. Um, but from what you've been paying attention to, what are they saying in Charlotte about this game?
Yeah, yeah. So it's so funny how, Pittsburgh being a historic city with champions, our perspective and even the Pittsburgh media is we want to win a championship every year. And if we don't, it's a disappointment, and you can't, and it's not good enough to just be average. down here, they hadn't made the playoffs in 8 years, so everyone's excited. Like, so it's just like I said before when we were talking, on the phone. Is nobody in Pittsburgh is running out to buy an AFC North champ hat, but people are buying them down here at 8 and 9. So that's the difference. Is when you don't even make the playoffs and you have losing seasons for 8 years, and you make the playoffs and you don't care. Like everyone, one of my best friends down here, he's a big Panthers fan. He's so excited, and in a different perspective, they did 8 and 9 tied in the division. Atlanta cleans house and fires everybody. It's such the perspective is so different. But yeah, everyone now Kool-Aid drinkers in Charlotte are like, oh yeah, we're going to the Super Bowl. Like, let's pump the brakes. Like, this is what you do. You have success, you compete, and then the next year you compete and you build on that, and then you're a contender. Like, this is great for the Charlotte fans, for football, that another team is in there, and that Bryce Young is, he could have a good game, and he's another one that's capable of, he could throw 400 yards and four burgers on you, and then the next game throw 100 yards and three interceptions. So
Right.
yeah, so you
Right.
don't know, but yeah, the city's pretty excited, the fans are pretty excited, the news media is positive, even though it is the Rams, because everyone keeps going back to that. Hey, we already beat the Rams, so you can't just say this is going to be a blowout, even though if you look at the records. But I I would think I would put my money on the Rams if I was.
Are there any sound bites from David Tepper, the owner of the Panthers?
Not that not that I have readily available.
He's a Pittsburgh guy, and he attended the University of Pittsburgh, and he gave
Yeah,
50
okay.
million to Carnegie Mellon to the school, but now the Tepper School of Business. So,
Hmm.
and you have a degree from the University of Pittsburgh too. So,
Yes, sir.
why don't we go into hedge funding like he did? What were we thinking back then?
Well, we didn't have access to the internet and computers and stuff like that when I mean, I didn't even think of going to another school other than Pitt, because it was the local school, and I didn't know, we didn't have a car. I didn't get to go to college visits, and when my daughter was looking at schools, and we went to South Carolina and Clemson.
Hmm.
While we're touring, there's people from all over Northeast and Oregon and Washington. I'm like, I never even would have thought to go to Clemson when we were in high school. Never even crossed my mind. And
Right.
it's a shame too, because and in hindsight, like College of Charleston is probably where I'd went, because I love that city feel, kind of very
Also, oh
similar, like
yeah.
except add the ocean and the architect and the history. So yeah, but we're getting a little off subject, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's okay though. Heck, if I was living on the coast, especially in South Carolina or North Carolina, I would have gotten into oyster farming. That's a
yeah,
very profitable
yeah.
field to go to.
Yeah, I always wonder like what I would do again. And
Yeah,
I wish someone would have said, "Hey, coaching is going to be a great thing," because I miss that. And so I wish I would have found some way to get into coaching volleyball in college.
yeah,
I keep running into oh, you didn't play in college, so you can't coach in college, and you didn't coach in college, so you can't coach in college. We're like, well, how the hell do you get one? And so someone goes to a Division III school and plays volleyball. They're more qualified to coach than me, even though I was All American as a player and I coached for 30 years. It's like, sit down in a room across the table from me, have a conversation. Didn't even you know get to have those conversations. And
yeah.
like, what really disappointed me was when I was at Edinburgh. So I went back to school to get my teaching certificate at Edinburgh, and I volunteered assisted the women's volleyball team there.
Okay,
And I was coaching at Iroquois, so I had full days at the same time. And the head coach there recommended me for the assistant coach job because I was volunteering and her assistant was leaving, and I didn't even get an interview. And I had a recommendation from the head coach to apply, and they were like, "Well, you didn't play in college." I'm like, "You're getting a recommendation from the head coach." So that's when I knew, like, okay, this was the best in I ever had, and still didn't get it.
right. And for those of you that don't know, Mike played volleyball at Montour High School. He was on when we were juniors. Your team won the states.
Whoops.
The Whips, well, Whippeals, okay, but not the states. I'm sorry, you won the
No, we
Whippeals.
lost in the quarterfinals of state.
Okay, that's right. I always forget that, but still, you
North
won
Allegheny,
the
who
Whips
we had
against some.
beaten 11 times that year, but yeah.
Right, right, exactly. Okay, so next up is the Bears and Packers are tonight, right? Okay. Have you watched enough of the Bears and the Packers this season to formulate an opinion on what might happen?
I'm pretty confident in the Bears in this one. Packers are just I don't know how much of the mentally they lost when, they lost their star defensive player.
They
When
lost
Parsons
2.
went down, it kinda yeah, and I don't know, they're not as dominant as they were at the beginning of the year. They look like, "Oh, okay, this team could contend." I think they're falling apart at the wrong time. I think the Bears are rolling with confidence.
Yeah.
Are they a great team, the Bears? No, but they fight. Their quarterback is takes advantage when he can. He makes mistakes, but he can do it on his legs. They have enough skill players. Their defense is good enough. So I'm pretty confident in the Bears. I think this won't even be a very close game to go. It'll be a
Caleb
close game
Williams
maybe from the fact that it's Packers Bears, but I'm pretty confident in the Bears in this one.
and the game's in Chicago, so,
Yeah. I think they win by at least 10.
Caleb Williams, in my opinion, made him I think he's opened the door to a tier 2 level of quarterback play,
Yeah.
you
He
know?
impressed me this year.
"Oh, oh, spam, you never go away, I'll get rid of that."
Yeah. He made a big jump this year.
He made a huge jump. I didn't see it happening, but that's because of coaching. I mean, Ben Johnson has proven that he's one of the best coaches in the NFL his first year coaching, and he very well could win coach of the year. He's going to be in contention for that title, you know. Um they have a good run. They have a run game that's pretty good. I can never remember or I can never pronounce the last name of their number one receiver, but he's playing tonight. Yeah, so without Parsons, who is definitely one of the best edge rushers that can line up anywhere, without him, and then the Packers also lost Kraft. He blew out his knee, and he was playing like a top 3 tight end in the league, up until his injury. I mean, that was Jordan Love's number 1 target.
Yeah, and Love's missed a lot of time. I don't know. They're kind of falling apart at the wrong time. Like you got to be rolling going into
Mhm.
the playoffs. You can't be like limping in. You can't be coming in like you know. And
Right,
so
right.
I'm pretty. If I had to bet my money, I'm betting it on the Bears and Bears big, like at least 10.
There If there's one game we can predict, it's gonna be that game, without
It
question.
would be an absolute upset to me if the Packers win. But
Right.
any given Sunday, obviously, yeah,
Right. Then we jump into tomorrow. The 49ers Eagles, that's the first game at 1 o'clock, correct?
yeah.
Okay. That's a tough game to predict because the Eagles, in my opinion, have been the most disappointing team this season, even though they won a division, but they
They're up
played a
there,
weak division.
yeah. And they
Um,
didn't do it in dominance.
no, they did not. They had a couple games. They had some losing streaks this season. Um,
There's some internal bickering, maybe, when Brown complains about not getting the ball and he gets the ball when he gets 100 yards, they lose. you know, when it's funny when Hurts throws over 200 yards, they lose. Like
Right,
that's
right.
crazy.
Well, if they stick to the run game, then it could be theirs, to be had because like we talked about before we went on, the 49ers defense last week did not look that good,
Hmm.
but they played Seattle. Seattle's the best team in the NFL. They're probably gonna win the Super Bowl, but, um, the 49ers are gonna have to come in and their only chance of winning this game is to be dominant.
To shoot out,
They're gonna have to be
they got to hope
dominant.
for.
Brock Purdy's gonna have to have a hell of a game.
He needs 4 touchdowns. Yeah,
But you got Christian McCaffrey who's been running the ball well. So they can mix it up with the run game and the pass game like any other team in the NFL, without question. But their defense is gonna have to really stand up.
I do the
And s
49ers. Do they have all their offensive weapons? Do they have the tight end? Is he playing or is he hurt? I know he got hurt in the last.
who you're talking about Kittle or
Kittle, yeah, he got hurt in the last game, but I don't know if he's in or out. But
I haven't heard because I've been watching the past couple of days with the injury reports. I haven't heard that he's out.
yeah, because if he's out, that's a big thing. If he's in, you got McCaffrey. McCaffrey's an it factor. Like
Yeah,
he could go off. He can
yeah.
make plays on his own. He doesn't need his line. He's that good. So
And the Eagles defense is, not the best.
susceptible.
Exactly. So And that, yeah, like I said, I think that's the most disappointing team going into the playoffs. Jalen Hurts hasn't been consistent.
Mhm.
Um, and like you said, there could be some internal, crap going on in the locker room. And I can see the 49ers winning this game. I can see the Eagles winning this game. I'm not even going to try to predict who's going to win this one. It's going to,
'Cause
that's a coin
it can
toss.
go so many different ways. It could go so
Yeah.
many different ways.
And I haven't looked at point spreads for any of these games either. But if I had to guess, it's going to be Eagles 1.5 or 2.5.
Yeah, I would think at home, they're probably favored by, 3 or less, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm guessing 3 or less too. So
I actually thought the 49ers were gonna be my dark horse in this playoffs, that I think I could see them sneaking in the Super Bowl, but I lost faith in their defense. They're just, I don't know. They just can't seem to get it done. They can't put the pressure on the quarterback when needed, and their offense is there. And even doing all this without Ayuk, that's crazy. Like, they could have
I
had
know.
Ayuk this year, and
Right.
Purdy didn't play a lot of the year. I mean, they had a backup quarterback. No one was talking about them when they had their best defensive player out for the year when they lost their linebacker, and then Purdy was out, and they were just winning quietly, and no one was paying attention. And
Was out for like 4 or 5 games
yeah,
too.
yeah,
He wasn't out just for 1 or 2,
yeah, and he came back and he's balling. He's playing good.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Now, he didn't play that well last week, but
He played a good team.
that's
A good team.
exactly,
Ryan
exactly.
Clark was like, I saw a video of Ryan Clark, and he said he was talking about playing in the '05 and '09 teams, and he's like, people are like, "Oh yeah, but that offense is powerful," and he goes, "Not today, they won't." It's like, yeah, you haven't played the Steelers defense, so yeah, and so
Right.
same thing. Like, Seattle is that good. Like, you can talk like Seattle is that good. They are good.
It's insane. It's insane how good they are. And it's Sam Darnold's first year with them.
Yeah,
Jeez Louise.
yeah. He's
Wow.
not doing any of the Sam Darnold stuff that he had done before. He's legit.
Well, in his career, he played for 2 bad teams, 2 bad coaches, in Carolina, right? He was first with the Jets, and he went to Carolina, and then he went to Minnesota and had an outstanding season with good receivers and half decent coaching, and now he's in Seattle with all the above, you know? Just one more thing, though, about that game, the 49ers and the Eagles. Um, it's to me, it's gonna be about Saquon Barkley and how well he runs.
Yeah, and I don't.
I think that's where it's going to matter the most for the Eagles. They're gonna have to give him the ball. I would be running him as much as possible, because I think he can tear it up and maybe score 2 or 3 touchdowns. So, but
They
yeah.
they
Uh,
definitely they can't be selfish and win. They can't say, "I want the ball." Like, you always want the ball. As a star, you always want the ball, but you can't complain if your team is winning and you're not getting the ball, So,
oh,
if they're
the good
selfish and they pout, and then that's where they're gonna open the door to 49ers, but my money's on the Eagles.
what I was gonna say, 'cause I kinda lost my train of thought, to be honest with you. Every team is motivated, obviously, but with the 49ers, they're probably they could be the most motivated team, because if they go to the Super Bowl, that's a home game for them.
Right.
Not in the amount of ticket sales, because that's all divided, but it's still a home game for them.
Yeah.
It's kinda like Miami and Indiana. It's a home game for the Hurricanes, but not in ticket sales, but it's the stadium where they play.
Yeah. Those
Yeah,
tickets
exactly.
are 10,000 and up.
Oh, geez. Yeah, yeah, stay home and watch on TV or go to a local pub, you know? Okay, so after the 49ers and Eagles, we've got the Bills and the Jags.
Whew.
I am perplexed on this one,
Whew.
without question.
Yeah.
Absolutely perplexed.
Nothing would surprise me in this
No,
game.
no.
This could be 13-10. This could be 43-48. Like, yeah.
Duval.
You
That's what they call
cannot
the
argue
Jags.
that the Jags are not
Duval
rolling.
County.
9 in a row. Trevor Lawrence, who I was not big on since he got in the NFL, very inconsistent, very, not very blah. He's playing very well. He's doing a
Yeah,
lot more with his legs. They have a
yeah,
solid run game. Their defense is stout. Like, the the only reason or only chance the Bills have is the Allen factor. Just like the Rams. Like, you have Stafford, it changes the game. They have Allen. He can win the game, will the game himself. He is their only chance. You take Allen off that and you just give him an average quarterback, it's not even a game. Jags roll easy.
for as good as Jacksonville's defense is, Allen's got some legs on him, and he's not
He's
afraid to
just
run.
smart
He's
too.
not afraid to put his body into somebody, and that's what I love about Josh Allen because he can throw the deep ball. He's consistent, and he can run the ball. But his size, you're thinking strictly pocket quarterback. That's it. No, he can play both dimensions of the quarterback position. He's
And
amazing.
yeah, I think one of the best things about the Bills, and credit to their coaching staff, they are the best second half team because they make adjustments. There's
Right.
so many games they're down, and I mean, granted, you put yourself in that situation, so you're not a good team, but good teams turn it around. A game is 60 minutes. So
Mhm.
you turn it around at the halftime and then you play better and your best in the second half. You win a lot of games that way. And people say, oh, they got lucky they pulled it out. Like, no, they took the game. There's a difference, between the other team giving you a game and taking the game. So, yeah,
And James Cook is a burner. I
yeah.
mean, he's one of the best running backs in the
I
NFL.
only, what's the point spread? Are the
Like
Jags
I
favored?
said earlier, I haven't looked at any point spreads. If I had to guess, if I'm making a decision in Las Vegas, I'm going Bills 4.5. To be
Yeah,
honest with you,
yeah. My,
but
my money's on the Jags in this one. I just think they're playing the best football at the right time for them. Not they're not they're probably arguably the hottest team, going into the playoffs as
sure.
far as success and the way they're beating. I mean, they handled Denver, so like it's not like they had an easy schedule and they backed into the playoffs. Like they had a very good division until Daniels Jones got hurt. Like the Colts were just as good as any team,
Oh yeah.
in the AFC. So I'm pretty high on the Jags in this one. Again, Allen wouldn't surprise me. Superman throws 5 touchdowns on them and they win. But my money, I'm going Jags probably by 7, winning by a
Oh,
touchdown.
wow. Okay. Wow. I mean, and if you go back to the Buffalo Houston game, Josh Allen was sacked 8 times, and the Jaguars also have a very good defense.
Yes.
Slow. Wow. I can't make a decision on that game. I really can't.
Yeah.
Between
I'm
that,
just
the Eagles and Niners, I can't make a decision on that game either. I really can't. You know,
yeah, I'd love to see the 49ers win from that perspective. Like I like the team, I like their coach. It'd be nice to see them go to the Super Bowl there, but I think the Eagles are just good enough all around
to get
to
this
win that
win,
game at home.
win this game, and if they do win that game, they're not winning next weekend. No matter who they have to play, it's not going to happen. So I'll just say that right now. So that leaves us with one more game that we haven't talked about yet: the Chargers and the Pats. Sunday Night Football up in Foxborough, Massachusetts. This is going to be a hell of a game too. It's going to be lit, and it's going to be a high scoring game.
That could be a very high scoring game.
Yeah, it looks like the both running backs are healthy for New England. Drake May's had a surprising season.
Yes.
He's impressed me a lot actually, and he's another one who can get out of the pocket and run for 10 yards. You know, but Justin Herbert I think is going to come in and he's gonna throw at least 3 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
He's got great receivers.
I think the Chargers have better skill position players.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
New England's more balanced, probably.
Yeah.
Chargers defense is very capable of being good, but they've been inconsistent. I'm going with the team that's been more consistent all year and at home and a very good coach. Now the Chargers also have a very good coach. I did read a lot that New England's coach has changed his style. He went from that rugged Belichick in your face and when it didn't work at Tennessee, and now he's up there and he's being more of a player's coach, and it's probably had an impact.
That just is with the team.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think I mentioned this last week, and I know I mentioned it in another podcast. Mike Vrabel, I watched his introductory press conference,
right.
and then they had the cameras in for the first team meeting in their auditorium at their complex, and he set the tone that first day. He has built a winning culture. He has built actually a very respectable culture within the organization. He told the team, "You're going to know everybody's name who's involved here is working here full time. It doesn't matter if it's the kitchen staff, It doesn't matter if it's the facility managers, or the facilities team. It doesn't matter who is employed there. You're gonna know them, you're gonna say hi to them, and you're gonna call them by their first name. I mean, he went that far. And the way that he delivered his speech to that team, if I'm a member of that team, I'm like, "Yeah, I wanna play for this guy. Yeah, I wanna win every I'm gonna work hard every time I show up to the facility and every time we have a game."
Yeah.
I love Mike
Yeah.
Vrabel. I think he's probably my favorite coach in the NFL.
Yeah. I was hoping we were gonna get him. If
That would have been
Tomlin
awesome.
left or stepped down or got fired, that's who I really, really wanted. Because first of all, he was a Steeler,
Yes, he
you know,
was.
he you know,
I liked him when he played for Pittsburgh, then he went to
and,
New
his
England.
mentality. Yeah, I
He
think he
has
was
it
in a
all.
bad situation.
Well, he was in a bad situation in Tennessee. I mean, I guess they felt like they had to move on,
Speaking of
but good
Tennessee,
for
I
Mike
hope they take
Vrabel.
Arthur Smith, but let's
And that very well could happen. I mean,
Yeah,
Tennessee's the only team that has an interest in him as of now. So
yeah, he was OC there he was part of the organization for 10 years, OC for, like, 3 or 4, something like
right, yeah, he was there for a pretty long time. Okay, who's going to win this game?
Patriots.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And again, it's going to be a close game. It's not going to
Yeah,
be a blowout.
I
It's going
think
to be
both teams are gonna be in the 30s.
yeah, and it's going to go well into the fourth quarter too. I can't watch. I can't wait to watch that game.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun
That's
one.
the one I want to watch the most. That's the one that has my most interest.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be the most fun game to
Yeah,
watch, probably.
and I went from hating the Patriots, with every ounce of everything in my body, to now liking them.
Yeah,
I really have. I
yeah,
mean, and it's all because Belichick is gone. That whole dynasty is gone. They had to go through 2 or 3 losing seasons where they were crap, and now, I'm just really impressed with how they played, and I really like the team a lot. So, I think the Patriots win. I'll even say they're gonna win, 34-28.
yeah. I wouldn't be shocked by that. The
Right,
winning team is
right.
definitely gonna be in the 30s.
For sure, for sure, for sure. Okay, that wraps up all the NFL, playoff games. And, what were your thoughts going into last night's game? The Oregon Ducks versus the Indiana Hoosiers. What was your thought going into the game?
Yeah, so obviously they played earlier in the season in Oregon. It was a battle. Yes, Indiana's rolling. They got some confidence. So I expected a pretty good game. I was confident. I've been confident all playoffs that Indiana's the best team. I think they're going to win it all. I wouldn't be shocked, if Miami beats them, but I think they're going to win it. But going into the game, I was pretty confident that it was going to be a good game. I don't know if I'm more impressed with how dominant Indiana was or disappointed in how Oregon was. And was Oregon disappointing because Indiana was just so impressive? And
Yeah.
to me, it was a disappointment for football fans that how big of a blowout a national semifinal game was. And it was, yeah,
I'm laughing, Mike, I'm laughing because I talked to Jim Kurtanich last night before the game started, and I asked him who he thought was gonna win. He said, "Oh, I'm taking Oregon and the under." And I said, "Jim, are you sure about that?" He's like, "I just have this feeling," and I don't wanna throw him under the bus here, but, I knew he was gonna be wrong. Okay. And I knew that Indiana was going to win this game. I just didn't expect them to win 56 to whatever. Oregon ended up getting like 22 or something like that, I guess. And I did. I'm telling you right now, and I swear on the graves of my mom and dad, my sister-in-law, all my aunts and uncles, my sister Merriam. That first play, Oregon, pick six.
yeah, that's at the tone.
I said to myself, pick six right away. I swear, and this is my right hand. I swear I said that to myself, okay? I'm taking that to my grave,
Yeah,
and it happened,
yeah,
and it happened, you know? And then I just like last week when the Steelers beat the Ravens, I told everybody at the hangar that Tyler Luke was gonna miss it. I predicted it. I just had that feeling, and, I don't know that I can do that again for any other future game, but that was just a premonition that I had. Um, but I didn't expect a blowout.
like I said, I was at a bar watching it. I wanted to be in a good environment because I got no skin in the game. So, like when I
No,
watch a Steeler game, I like to watch it at home by myself. But when
right.
I was out, I didn't even watch the second half. It would, I kept glancing up, and it was just, it was essentially over at the beginning of the second quarter. It wasn't done, but you could just tell this game's lopsided. Indiana's completely in control. Oregon just can't hang with them. You knew then it was over.
What was the score at the end of the first quarter?
Was it 21-7,
It was 21-7.
something like that? Yeah. And
Or
there was
was
a
it
moment, there was a possession where Oregon actually, if they scored a touchdown, could have tied the game, but they did it. And that was it. That was it.
the only skin I have in any game that Indiana plays is the fact that Kurt Cignetti is from Pittsburgh and that he was a head coach at IUP, the Indiana University of Pennsylvania.
It'd
You
be
know,
nice for their program. It'd be nice for college football. Someone new. Kudos to Miami.
they're gonna make history if they win next week against Miami. They will make history. They'll finish 15-0, and they haven't won anything since 1967. So you're talking well over 50 years. I mean, my God, I mean, almost 60 years. 26, 19. Geez, I don't want to think about that. Um, but what Cignetti has done for that team in 2 seasons just is unspeakable. And he's not doing it with a bunch of 4 and 5-star players. That's the thing. That's why he's such a great coach. He's got everybody dialed in, no matter their position. Special teams even, they're all dialed in. And that's what he's done with this program. And Mendoza, I feel bad for him because he's going to probably end up getting drafted by the Raiders. And unless they hire a really good coach and they have an excellent draft and they get some good free agents, that's going to be Mendoza's only hope to play for a half decent team next season, in 2026. Um, but that team doesn't have anybody right now except for the running back. They have a good running back.
And
Uh,
Bowers.
what's that?
And Bowers, the tight end. That's it.
Yeah,
Well,
Bowers tight end. Yeah.
their defense, they have Crosby, but is he going to be there? I mean, he's got
He had
near the
major
end of his career.
surgery a couple days ago, so I don't know. But yeah, that's the story there, Mike. Hey, you mentioned the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's just talk about them real quick. What's going on with them? What are you seeing in them?
I, obviously, when a new coach comes in, you don't know what to expect. And this
Right.
was supposed to be a building year because we got rid of people, and we just had Sid and Malkin around and Tanger to probably, and Carlson probably, just to sell tickets or just to have enough talent to keep games close and interesting, exciting. You know, we had Jari in the net, and I don't know who I was happier to see leave Pittsburgh, Harris from the Steelers or Jari from the Penguins. So, uh, right now they're rolling, and maybe it's they're buying into the coach's system. The old guys are playing great. Sid's having one of the best careers or seasons of his career, and he's
I
36.
know.
He's fifth in the league in
Yeah.
goals. That's absurd at 36. You
He
know,
might have he's actually 38.
yeah. Oh, is he 38?
He's 38. And he could go into the Olympic break with over 30 goals.
Yeah, and he's very close to catching Messier on all-time
He
assists.
assists.
So
Yeah.
he's like within 20. So I mean, I got to think he's
No,
going to play another 2 or 3 years.
jeez. I mean,
That's absurd. But yeah, as a team, they're rolling. They're getting solid goaltending. They're finally winning some games in overtime. How many 3-0 leads did they blow? Those could have all been wins. They could be in first place right now very easily if
they
they
didn't
didn't
blow
blow
those
those
3-0
games in the
leads,
third period.
4-1. They blew a 5-1 lead
Yeah,
when
yeah.
they had that losing streak. But
So
I'll tell you this much, one of the sports writers or commentators or whatever for Sportsnet, who's based up in Toronto, had the Penguins at 31 in the preseason power rankings. And it didn't surprise me per se, but now you look back at his prediction, or not his prediction, but the ranking, he probably had too many donuts at Tim Hortons whenever he was putting together his power rankings. He may have had Colorado at number 1, and if he did, he's 100% right because they're just
yeah,
on fire.
yeah. Yeah,
That's a
the
team.
ESPN power rankings I saw was Penguins were 11.
Okay, okay,
So, yeah,
yeah,
they're rolling. Uh,
yep, yeah. They're getting good goaltending. The defense is playing very, very well. Erik Karlsson's having a good season.
yes. I
You
love
know,
that
they're
Tanger doesn't have to be the number 1 defenseman. I think he's flying under the radar, and that's great
mhm,
because, he still has the head, So, yeah, that's great. Carlson, again, like, good point. I think he's having a very good year for what we've seen from him the last couple years. He's
right,
yeah,
since he's been in Pittsburgh,
yeah, and,
you
the
know,
new additions have been nice.
Kendall's playing
Oh,
great.
that kid's
He's
gonna be
still just
phenomenal.
18.
Yeah,
Right, he hasn't turned 19 yet, I don't think. But, he can shoot the puck and he can pass the puck very well. He's got a good, he's just a really good player for his age, fitting in very well with this Penguin roster.
yeah, and our 4th line is pretty damn good for a 4th line.
Well, that's been a difference because Sullivan couldn't get anything from the 3rd and 4th lines
Right.
last 4 or 5 seasons. Now you got all 4 lines that are producing.
Yep,
Think about that.
yep.
All 4 lines. Look at Brake Lizotte. I mean, how great he's playing. He was hurt for a little bit. He came back. He scored right away. I'm really impressed with Mantha. I'm really impressed with oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on his
Brazeau?
name. Who?
Brazeau or what's it how's it how you
Yeah, 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 yeah. Him. He started off playing great. I mean, that first game of the season against the Rangers, he was lighting it up.
but you guys think how much of his slowdown was because Malkin's been out, because
Right.
he's on Malkin's line, you know what I mean? So, that line was pretty damn impressive at the beginning of the season.
Yes, it
That was
was.
probably one of the best lines in hockey.
Yeah, they were unstoppable.
Yeah.
You know,
I
but I think Skinner's gonna formulate into a decent goalie for the Pens. You still got Slebos, and if one of them get hurt, you got the Russian goalie in Wilkes-Barre can come in and play
yeah,
at this level, no problem.
yeah.
But yeah, when I have you on next, we're going to talk about the Olympics. We're going to talk about the hockey tournament,
Oh, yeah.
and I can't wait. I'm already like starting to salivate over the Olympics. To be honest with you. Um, it's just going to be one of the best hockey tournaments in the history of the Olympics, without question. I'm totally feeling it right now. So, all right. Well, hey, Mike, thank you very much for
Thank
hopping
you
on.
for having me, Phil.
Um, we'll do this again, and let's hope that the Steelers get this win on Monday night.
Let's hope.
Let's hope that we see, what will probably become 5 of the 6 games in the playoffs this weekend that will be very close games, entertaining games, plays that are gonna be made. We're like, "Wow, how'd he do that?" Especially at important times of the game, of each game, whatever the case is. It's gonna be a great weekend, and I'm gonna get this published this afternoon, right before the first game, so
Yeah. Let's hope Watt, tries to get that first playoff win, and that's his extra motivation, and he
wouldn't
plays
that
the
be
game of
nice?
his life.
Wouldn't that be nice? Well, hey, he's playing against his brother's old team,
Yeah.
so
We'll see.
So you got that Watt brother, for as much as they're close with each other and everything, they still have that rivalry, so yeah, JJ versus TJ, even though JJ doesn't play anymore. So all right, hey brother, have a great
Alright,
weekend.
buddy.
We
You
will
too.
definitely be in touch.
Sounds good.
Thanks again, Mike. Take care, man.
Alright, see ya.
Yeah, bye.